Coming in at number 10, we have The Affair. The world was completely shocked when R&B singer August Alsina came forward to admit that he has had an affair with Jada Pinkett-Smith in 2015. What was even more shocking is that when August sat down with The Breakfast Club for an interview with Angela Yee, he would say, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership. He gave me his blessing." August then went on to insist that he hasn't done anything to be ashamed of and that he loved the Smiths, before saying, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love and have a ton of love for her. I devoted myself to it." Then many people started to claim that Jada has taken advantage of August since he was in a vulnerable time in his life, as the singer was only 22 and he was struggling with his health due to an autoimmune condition that left him hospitalized on multiple occasions. One inside source would even also reveal to Page 6 that when Jada said she was mentoring August through it all, she was only really destroying him. Number 9. The forced open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny when it comes to their marriage, especially in 2009. Jada Pinkett-Smith went on to address all the rumors that surrounded it. In an interview with Atlanta Q100, Jada would say, "I've heard all the things from their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay, they swing." She then went on to prove that the couple has nothing to prove when it comes to the relationship, and she also went on to tell HuffPost in 2013 that she and Will had no claim over each other's lives, and she also told Will that he could do whatever he wanted as long as he was able to look at himself in the mirror and be okay. In recent years, the pair has still continued to admit that they like to take an unconventional approach when it comes to their marriage. But for the most part, it seems like this is Jada's doing, as she wants to mess around with other people, and Will doesn't want to lose her, so he sits back and lets his marriage crumble in the process. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Forced into a Cult. Although Will Smith and Jada Pinkett-Smith have insisted they aren't Scientologists, it's kind of hard to believe anything they say when it comes to not being involved with the controversial religion for years. As a former ex-Scientologist member, Lee once told the Daily Beast back in 2017, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Lee then went on to point out that Jada even forced her husband Will to allow her to open a school in one of their homes that was based on Scientology, and she even forced her own kids to go to that school before it shut down. With Jada opening the New Village Leadership Academy in 2008, the school only lasted about 5 years before it closed down. One of the academy's teaching staff even confirmed that they used L. Ron Hubbard's books and Scientology-affiliated study technology, and there's posters of him all around the school as well. Later, Lee even appeared on the Red Table Talk alongside Jada in 2018, where Jada said, "You're gonna learn all the religions, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I had no interest in being a Scientologist." Number 7. The controversial photo. Back when Willow Smith was only 13 years old, a controversial photo of Willow began to spread across social media as she was shown lying on a bed next to then 20-year-old actor and photographer Moses Arias. While she was shirtless, many people then started to voice their concern about the photo, as they thought it was wildly inappropriate, especially considering Willow was very much underage and hanging out with someone who wasn't. Children's Services and then the police got involved, and Jada would then come to her daughter's defense by supporting the photo after she said that TMZ was blowing the photo way out of proportion. Jada would then go on to say, "There's nothing sexual about that picture or the situation. You guys are projecting your trash onto it, and you're acting like cover pedophiles. That's not cool." To make matters even worse, there were also people who started to agree with Jada. However, this whole situation was just really creepy, you have to admit that. Number 6. The Oscars. Although the 94th Academy Award should have been a memorable moment for Will Smith, he ended up making Oscar history for all the wrong reasons. Instead of the media talking about his talent and incredible win, Will sparked major controversy after he took to the stage to slap Chris Rock over the joke about Jada Pinkett-Smith's balding head. With Chris comparing Jada to G.I. Jane due to her shaved head, while Will first went on to laugh at the joke when his wife rolled her eyes and gave him hell for it, he took matters into his own hands and defended his wife like she wanted. Now, Jada has been open about her struggles with alopecia, to the point that she told her followers on Instagram in a video early in 2022 that all she could do was laugh when it came to the fact that she had a bald head. So the joke definitely came across a little too close to home, especially since in the past past, he already threw shots at the actress during the 2016 Oscars. Although she did end up saying that she didn't make him do it, she sure did have the power to stop him from leaving his seat in the first place. Number 5. Her love for Tupac. Jada Pinkett-Smith and Tupac both met at Baltimore School of Arts in Maryland in the late 1980s, and they became close friends. And in the past, Jada has tried to say that the two weren't involved romantically, but we all know that's a lie. And almost a month after Will Smith and Chris Rock's altercation, an interview of Jada and Tupac's friend started to resurface on the internet. And in the interview, Tupac's friend would state that Tupac had a lot of love and lots of respect for Jada. However, they then went on to claim that there was this time where he witnessed Tupac become extremely upset by something Jada said to him. When they went on to say, the second time I had probably heard him talk about her is when he went to LA. He was very upset, you know what I mean? Pop came out of the room and was like, Jada had gone contact me and tell me don't do nothing with Will Smith. Over the years, it seems like Jada has never been shy to share her love that she had for Tupac. As for what would have been his 50th birthday party, she went on to share a never before seen poem that he gave her. And it's clear at the end of the day she still loves him, and that's probably why she causes Will so much problems. Number 4. The forced marriage. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions, but she's also shared in an episode on the Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to be married. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding day with Will Smith, and in it, she confessed that she did not want to be married, and she only ended up doing it because her mother forced her to get married because she got pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. The actress then went on to say, it's almost as if Gammy was like, you're going to have to get married, so let's talk about the wedding. I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, and I was like pregnant. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew. I was like, I never wanted to be married. She then went on to describe how horrible her wedding actually was, but how can you sit here and tell a man that you never wanted to get married to him and that your mom made you do it, as you control your own actions by this time in your life, not your mother. Number 3. Treated like a peasant. Did you know that Will Smith once took 3 years to plan a super extravagant birthday party for Jada's 40th birthday? And instead of appreciating the thought and the gesture that he took, she was less than pleased about her husband's gift. When Will was super happy about all the hard work he put in trying to make it the best gift for Jada, she was underwhelmed and lashed out at Will to the point it made him hit a low point in his life. Will went to great lengths when he planned Jada's birthday, and he even hired an orchestra and a documentary team to trace Jada's family roots. While most people would appreciate the gesture, Jada would claim that the whole thing was actually just a party that showed off Will's ego. And while Will continued to go on to treat his wife like a queen that night, she just went on to show him that he was just a peasant. That's just really sad. Number 2. She's salty. In an episode on the Red Table Talk, Jada would bring up how she's gotten hostile towards other women who have been disrespectful to her about Will Smith in their marriage. When Willow asked her mother about how she felt about the groupies around her dad, Jada would respond by saying, I really didn't. I know I was deterrent. Later on in an interview, she also went on to note that there was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile, where I felt like people stepped over a boundary and they were disrespectful. I know who I am, and more importantly, he knows who I am, right? It's clear Jada doesn't like other women trying to talk to Will, but yet she can have an affair on her husband and then go on to justify her actions over that said affair. Makes sense. And coming at number 1 today, we have Margot Robbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear she doesn't think her marriage is really strong, as she believes Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her husband. Even though the couple is in an open marriage, Jada has defended her husband's public comments in appreciation for Margot in 2015, but those said comments have quickly become forgotten, as Jada once made a comment about how she harbors a racial bias towards white women with blonde hair, as they just seem to trigger her. Although she tried to claim that this was because she was bullied by blonde girls in school, it's clear that her comment was an indirect reference to her hostility towards Margot, as apparently Will acts like he's an unmarried man when he's around her. Now it's clear Margot and Will both have chemistry, just watch the movies they're in together. And they're definitely a couple people want to see get together. And this scares Jada to the point she won't stop causing trouble for Will.
Number 10. Jaden Smith. In her tell-all interview promoting her tell-all book, Jada revealed that her son Jaden saved her life after introducing her to a certain ceremony during a dark time in her life. While Jaden did not do it all the time, he had heard about its benefits from mental health issues from a friend and suggested that they give it a shot. She claimed that after only a handful of uses that her negative thoughts just kinda went away. Jaden has released a statement along with his sister, begging their mother to keep some things private at this time. On top of their pleas to keep quiet, they also acknowledge that their parents have been separated for quite some time and they've known about it, so it's helping absolutely nobody if they stay together. Number 9. Eddie Murphy. Eddie and Jada starred together in the 1996 reboot of The Nutty Professor, a story about a heavy-set man played by Eddie Murphy who develops a serum that burns body fat, making him slender and confident. Smith played his love interest, and it turns out that her time on set was actually something she doesn't fully remember. On an episode of Red Table Talk, Jada admitted to having some serious substance control issues for a good portion of her life. She admitted that while filming this project, she would spend as much time as possible in an altered state, sometimes even while she was on set in front of the camera. On the day she passed out on set and when she came to, she simply told people that she must have had some old vitamins or something like that, when the reality was she was hopped up on too many happy pills. The moment stuck with Jada for a long time, and she claims that this was the last time substances would interfere with her work. Eddie Murphy caught wind of what his co-star had actually done, and he was not happy. The majority of filming was stressful, and the crew were in way too deep for the production to recast Jada and make things work. So Eddie isn't a big social media guy, but he's probably happy to know that Jada's secrets are being exposed left and right. Number 8. Leah Remini. When it comes to science and Jada Pinkett-Smith, Leah Remini is probably the most outspoken against Jada. Smith claims to have very little involvement in the community. Rumors that Will and Jada were big into science have been around for years, and this is something that Leah mentions in her book. Troublemaker, Surviving Hollywood, and Weird Science mentions Will and Jada a handful of times, but contains some interesting Jada information. Leah claimed to know for certain that Jada was involved for a long time. Now, she had never seen Will Smith attending any events, but she did spot Jada attending a few at the Celebrity Center in Hollywood. Jada clapped back on Twitter, naming all of the houses of worship that she has visited without being a member. Now, despite getting together on Red Table Talk while it was still on the air and clearing things up, Remini is still on the side of these two should just break up already and save each other the pain and confusion. Number 7. Keanu Reeves. Who could forget the Matrix movies? 3 wonderfully dark, futuristic sci-fi thrillers, and the 4th one. Fun fact about the first Matrix movie, the role of Neo was initially offered to Jada's husband, Will Smith. Will ultimately turned the role down and it went to Keanu Reeves. Instead of making The Matrix, Will went on to make the very underrated film Wild Wild West. It's just an extremely underrated action comedy set in the Old West. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Although Will decided to turn down the role, Jada felt that the project would be revolutionary for the film industry, and while she did eventually star in a sequel, she actually failed to get herself into the first movie. Jada wanted to play the character Trinity in the 1999 film and was even brought in to audition. She recalled failing the audition because she had absolutely no chemistry with Keanu Reeves. For a long time, she has been adamant that she has no idea why there was nothing there, but it seems as simple as the two just did not get along at first. In her memoir, she literally says that she doesn't think it was his fault and refers to him as Key several times, like they're buds. Between Jada's missteps and Will Smith denying the chance to appear in the project, Keanu is surely just counting down the days until these two split for good. Or he doesn't care because he's Keanu Reeves and he has better things to do. Number 6. Tom Segura. Tom Segura was one of the many celebrities who started bashing Will Smith after he ruined the Oscar ceremony in 2022. And I'm not gonna repeat what happened, alright? Go watch some of our other videos if you wanna know. Now, if you don't know what happened, Tom delivered a fiery take on the infamous moment, and I wish I could quote every single thing that he says because it is just so good. So I'm gonna paraphrase as best as I can. Addressing Will Smith directly, Tom said, "Let me tell you this. The idea that his entitled rear end thinks because his feelings are hurt that he gets to hurt one of the all-time greats." Then calling Will a spineless coward that was now on Hollywood's blacklist. Later on, while diving deeper into the situation on the Pat McAfee show, he explained that it was a clear move of entitlement. Will Smith in the moment just decided, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna get out of my chair and I'm gonna go strike Chris Rock across the face because he hurt my feelings. It was like something out of a horror movie. This was only something that was discussed behind closed doors in the comedy industry especially, but it was happening live on stage only for the audience to respond with muffles and applause, going about the night like nothing happened. Since the news that Jada is releasing a memoir became public, he's been urging this couple to sign their papers and stop this nonsense. Number 5, Tom Cruise. Is it really a surprise to learn that Tom Cruise has some celebrity buddies who like to ride with him from time to time? And I'm not talking about horses, no, I'm talking about motorcycles, man. I can't be cool saying motorcycles. It's one of Tom's favorite pastimes, apart from stunt working and of course couch jumping. After becoming friends on the set of the movie Collateral, Tom and Jada discovered that they had a mutual love of motorcycles and went riding with Tom on his dirt bike track. That's right, Tom loves riding so much that he has his own dirt bike track. Somehow that's the only normal thing about this guy. In her memoir, she shares that the two grew close. While Tom has never said it out loud, the stories that Jada tells weave a tale of love. One entry particularly sounds like something right out of a romance novel. One day, after trying to launch herself off of a ramp and failing miserably, Tom helped her up and suggested that they take a breather for the day. But Jada reminded him that it was Tom himself who told her never to give up. He helped her back on her bike, and they kept going. Over and over again in the memoir, there are stories of these two having a strong connection, so while Tom has never said it out loud, he's probably stoked that Will and Jada have officially announced their separation, leaving some room for old Tommy boy to squeeze in. Number 4, 50 Cent. Jada and her entanglement with August Alsina was news that shocked the world like a little tiny bit when it was revealed on Red Table Talk. For 50 Cent, this was the most annoying thing that he had ever had to deal with in his life, which is saying something. Following the revelation, social media users were flocking to Instagram, sharing their opinions and messaging their friends, including 50 Cent. He contacted Will Smith, his buddy, and the two ended up just cursing each other out the entire conversation. In October of 2021, 50 decided to comment on the marriage again, sharing his wish for Jada and Will to just leave each other for good so that he can stop reading about them while he's enjoying his morning brew. Number 3, Chris Rock. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada Pinkett-Smith has revealed a ton of information that was just originally thought to be rumors. Now, while we already covered a lot of things, like Will Smith's been separated, in fact we have a whole top 10 list about that memoir, another fun piece of information that was revealed involved Chris Rock. It was revealed that before Chris Rock actually got struck across the face by Will Smith, he had asked Jada Pinkett-Smith out on a date. Now, when you hear that, you're probably like, oh, he asked her out before they met. No, actually that situation took place in 2016 at the height of the first round of separation rumors, which turned out to be completely true. According to Jada, Chris reached out to take a swing. He called and said that he'd love to take her out, to which she responded, "But why though?" He clarified and told her that he was under the impression that herself and Will were getting a divorce, so he just kind of wanted to see what happened. Well, when she revealed that wasn't happening, Chris was so embarrassed. Of course Chris wants these two to split up. How else is he supposed to try asking her out again? Number 2, August Alsina. The world was shocked when August Alsina came forward to confirm a major rumor surrounding Jada and Will's marriage, admitting that he had an affair with Jada in 2015. During an interview, he claimed that he actually sat down with Will Smith and received his blessing due to the nature of their relationship. He insisted that the couple had nothing to be ashamed of and that he loved the Smith family just so much. While Will Smith denied ever giving him a blessing, in fact he didn't even know that this was a thing until he read about it, Jada admitted to the entanglement on Red Table Talk, where she explained to her husband that it was a moment she regretted, all the while referring to the infidelity as an entanglement, like two Christmas lights just trapped in a box. While many were of course confused as to why she would admit this on the internet for millions of people to see, they also started to wonder if she took advantage of August. At the time, he was only 22 and had struggled with his health, suffering from an autoimmune condition that left him hospitalized multiple times. Jada even admitted to being his mentor at the time. Sounds like a little bit of a weird relationship if you ask me. And at number 1, Will Smith. Now, if there is anyone on this planet that has the right to not like Jada Pinkett-Smith, it's her estranged husband, Will Smith. Seeing as they've secretly been separated for 7 years, he is definitely holding some resentment towards Jada. This man has endured public humiliation several times, both caused by himself and by her. In the past few weeks alone, Jada has been revealing so much information about her marriage to Will and what's really been going on behind the scenes. months. Not only were they separated, but it was revealed that she was in love with rapper Tupac Shakur, but not really in love. People are anyway. Now, of course, Will isn't calling for himself to be divorced from his wife. That's crazy. But behind closed doors, this man is more than likely filling out the divorce papers as we speak. Number 10. The Secret Son. While many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, did you know that they have a third son named Trey? Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino, and he tends to fly under the radar in the eye of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino on her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this was the first time that they'd actually heard about Trey. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father figure. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of his life, but for a long time he was kept hidden from public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that will never be washed away. Number 9. Dwayne Martin. Making its way in the news cycle this week is of course the news that Will and his wife Jada are planning to sue Will's former assistant brother Bilal for making claims that he caught Will Smith and his friend Dwayne Martin getting busy behind closed doors a long time ago. Smith was married to Jada at the time of this so-called interaction, but he did not disclose those details until about a week or so ago. While doing an interview with Tasha K, Bilal told her that he opened the door to Dwayne's dressing room after not being able to find Will anywhere despite his car being parked outside of their studio, and when he opened the door he saw Will bent over a couch and Dwayne was behind him. A representative for Will Smith said that this story is completely false and fabricated for clicks and views. The legal action is a swift move and one made based on a fair point. One thing to have an opinion on someone, but it's a whole different thing when you call their orientation into question. So far there is no new news on how Dwayne feels about this. The only news that we do have is that the suit has been confirmed and actions are being taken. The Smiths have been in the news for lots of things this year, and honestly, there's not a lot more I can say about the whole Dwayne and Will situation, so let's just chat about some general revelations of Will Smith's secrets from the past, shall we? Number 8. He likes to get busy to relax. While the Smiths have famously entangled with other celebrities through their marriage, Will once again shared a bit too much information in his new book, Will. At one point, he made a not-so-shocking confession. When he was younger, Will was dating a woman named Melanie, who he discovered was cheating on him while he was away for work. Smith was deeply attached to his former girlfriend and to women in general. In his book, Will writes that he will always need a woman to achieve for. Prior to Melanie, Will had only been with one other woman, physically speaking. But following the breakup, Will claims to have gone full hyena mode over the next few months, making love to anyone who consented. At first using this as a way to relax and feel better about the relationship, this eventually grew into a full-fledged addiction to the point where Will claims to have suffered a psychosomatic reaction from the escapades, which causes him to occasionally vomit when he reaches completion. I didn't need to see that in my head, but since I have to, now you do. So, number 7, orientation. In 2012, Star Magazine published an expose on Will that somehow stuck around for a while. The outlet alleged that Will and his wife were heading for divorce because of his growing bromance with fellow actor Dwayne Martin, which was speculated on due to the multiple outings the pair shared in a short span of time. The rumor was only intensified when Jada expressed her dislike for their friendship, saying that she felt like Will flaunts it in her face. He takes Dwayne out all day and on exotic vacations, while she is just sitting at home alone in her university-sized house. While it's never actually been confirmed, the fact that a lot of people have accused Will of basically the same thing makes a lot of people wonder if this whole Dwayne Martin thing might actually have some merit to it. Number 6, the 7-year separation. Cheating rumors and dating scandals have followed this couple through their entire relationship. Since day one, everyone was convinced that they were in an open relationship or that they were cheating on each other on and off. But it turns out all those rumors were 100% true. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine to share some inside information, and the most revealing was that herself and Will Smith have actually been separated for like 7 years, despite appearing to be happy on the outside. The truth was they decided to go their separate ways, emotionally speaking, quite some time ago. Since 2016, Jada and Will have been living in the same house and appearing on red carpets together, but behind the scenes, they actually just don't do things together. Considering the the massive size of Will's house, it's easy to imagine that Jada just chose her own section and decorated it to her liking. She continued to say that she felt pressured into being with Will because it was mainly his idea to get together in the first place. 2 kids and 1 marriage later, and it seems like Jada has finally come to her senses, and hopefully they'll split up sometime soon because they're not a good couple. Number 5, Will Smith almost ended his father's life. The Smiths are famous for getting into way too much detail when it comes to their family history. Will Smith released a memoir called Will in 2021 that was chock full of juicy information that most certainly should have remained a secret. One of the most shocking revelations in the book would have resulted in Will spending his life in prison had he followed through with his plan. The actor explained that his father, Will Smith Sr., got physical towards himself and his mother constantly. As a child, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother and himself when he was older and capable of more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer, and Will was forced to take care of him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take Papa down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bed towards the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." He then went on to describe the moment that he contemplated pushing that man down the stairs, and noted that no one would have suspected him at the moment, and it was just perfect. He wrote, "I'm one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call would have been an Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life and instead took care of that man until he passed away in 2016. Number 4, Oscar's confusion. Now that all the information that's been leaked into the world about Jada herself, Will, all this stuff, there is still one major question that a lot of people have on their minds. If Will and Jada haven't been together for 7 years, why did he feel like it was necessary to defend her and strike Chris Rock at the Oscars in 2022? A lot of fans flooded social media with questions and concerns surrounding the incident. If you don't remember, Chris Rock made fun of Jada being bald, Will took him out for it, and the story. If he had been attending Chris Rock's stand-up special, who knows what would have happened. It's so good, but we'll talk about that in another list. Despite Will claiming that playing the role of King Richard had left him in an odd mental state, it really was no excuse for the way he acted, especially if he hadn't been involved with Jada romantically in years. The main point being made by some is that despite Will and Jada separating, they have remained close friends, and in that instance he was just defending his good friend, but it's still no excuse for making Marty the zebra cry. Man, Madagascar is a great movie. Will has claimed that he tried to reach out to Chris following the Oscars, but he was told that Chris just was not ready to talk, and so far it seems like neither of them have actually spoken to each other. It's either that or that Chris Rock was ready, but he knew he would fly off the handle the moment he heard Will Smith's voice. Number 3, dating Chris Rock. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada Pinkett-Smith revealed a ton of information that were once thought to just be rumors. Now, while I've already talked about the fact that they were separated for a while, another fun piece of information that was revealed was that she actually was once involved with Chris Rock. Now, I don't know if fun's the right word to use. Maybe unique. Anyway, it's been revealed that before Chris Rock was slapped across the face by Will Smith live at the Oscars, he actually had asked Jada Pinkett-Smith out on a date. Now, when you hear that, you must be thinking, oh, hey, it was probably before they ever met. No, the situation actually took place in 2016 at the height of the first round of separation rumors, which it turned out were true. At the time, Chris either had some inside info or he must believe everything he reads online, because according to Jada, Chris reached out to take his shot. He called and said, hey, he'd love to take her out on a date, and she was like, why? He clarified and told Jada that he was under the impression that herself and Will were getting a divorce for real, and when she revealed that that wasn't actually the case, Chris was just embarrassed and apologizing profusely. Though they eventually moved past that moment, it might explain why Will Smith was so aggressive with Chris at the Oscars. You know, there's no way that he was unaware of what happened. Speaking of Chris and Will, number 2, Chris and Will were friends. Before the infamous 2022 Oscars thing, Chris Rock and Will Smith were actually on pretty good speaking terms. They weren't like best friends by any means, but they certainly weren't mortal enemies prepared to strike each other down at the mention of one of their wives. They first met on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air back in its heyday, with Rock playing 2 characters, an actor named Maurice Perry and his sister Jasmine. They bumped into each other over the years, but Chris eventually starred alongside Jada in Madagascar, which I will never stop talking about. It's fantastic. I didn't know that growing up that Jada was in that movie because I don't read the credits. I'm too cool. Between Madagascar and the Oscars in 2022, things were fairly neutral and there was no bad juju between these people. But then suddenly, at the behest of his wife Jada, Will felt that it was necessary to stand up and defend her name with physical violence. And at number 1, Jaden and Willow. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jaden basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to being an actor after being in the 2008 remake of The Karate Kid, alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to more entrepreneurial things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him a ton of success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Now, unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for their youngsters. In fact, Jada and Willow recount spending most of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with them, like when Jaden and Will were in the pursuit of happiness together. It turns out that they were well aware of the whole separation thing from the very beginning. Will and Jada must have just been waiting until the kids were financially independent and out of their house to finally call it quits, something they probably should have done a lot sooner.
At number 10, we have her bringing Will on her podcast. Jada has a podcast with her mother and their shared daughter, and she has celebrity guest stars on it often as well. There was one point where she even decided to have Will on said podcast, but it wasn't just a get to know you kind of segment. She wanted to publicly record them talking about the issues in their relationship. As you can expect, she benefited from it, because she can be an awful person like that. And she was the only one of the two of them who felt like it helped emotionally and mentally. Will was distraught for most of the episode and just looked crushed and defeated throughout it. Of course, it went viral, and even now, the sad Will Smith memes are still fairly popular. The episode made it more than obvious that he's been really unhappy in his marriage, and we can't really blame him, honestly. It made the top of the list because Jada seemed so happy to be there and discussing the issues that humiliated him, even though she could clearly see how upset it made him. And if that doesn't sum up their marriage, I don't know what does. At number 8, we have her boyfriend sharing his side of the story. While she and Will were on an apparent break in their marriage, she decided it would be okay to have another relationship with rapper Alsina, who happened to be one of her son's close friends. However, after rumors started circulating, he did an interview with Vulture and said that his coming clean about their relationship was to clear the air, and that it was necessary to move forward in their relationship together. On the opposite end of this, Jada was trying to cover it up for the duration of their fling, and when he let the cat out of the bag, she had nowhere to hide. I mean, who wouldn't want to hide when you're dating someone while still legally married and he happened to be 20 years younger than you? He agreed with Jada that their relationship was an entanglement because it was complex and taboo, and the only reason they didn't work out was because the news of their relationship was detrimental to his work life, not just his personal life. So not only did she embarrass Will by dating someone else while they were legally married, she embarrassed August and made his life extremely complicated, all for a few months of fun. At number 8, we have filming without Will's permission. This one is a little less drastic than some of the other points on the list, but she made Will very uncomfortable and didn't really understand what she was doing wrong. After the Chris Rock incident, people were going back through their media documented marriage moments just to see if she's done anything like that before, and a lot of people landed on one specific clip of Jada's Instagram Live from 2019. She was talking about their marriage counselor and faced the camera towards Will and asked if their counselor was really helping them redefine their marriage. He looked annoyed and rather uncomfortable, then responded with, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me first if you could." But instead of respecting his wishes, she continued to try and film his response, with limited success. So while she didn't embarrass him on live television, she did embarrass him on her Instagram Live. At number 7, we have attempting to defend their marriage. Jada has put her foot down a handful of times, stating that they didn't have an open relationship, but she had posted some Facebook comments and made comments that contradict that. On her Facebook page, she attempted to clear up the rumors and help the situation, but all it did was open a can of worms. She said that they had an unconventional marriage, and while they aren't in an open relationship, monogamy is something they choose. That isn't entirely true. Monogamy was something she chose. It was something that Will would follow through with through their entire marriage. He didn't run around with his kids' friends and then defend the relationship because they were on a break. She also said that they both had the option to do whatever they pleased because they trusted each other, which seems like she was trying to shift the blame to make her look less like the bad guy. She finished the post by saying they did not have an open relationship, they have a grown one. This is contradictory in itself because her actions only made them grow apart rather than as a couple, and she was the only one in the relationship doing the growing. At number 6, we have her talking about their relationship issues. Like I had mentioned in an earlier point, Jada hosts a podcast with her mother and her daughter, which is called Red Table Talks, if you want to look for it. On one of the episodes they had recorded, she had the ever so hated Gwyneth Paltrow as a guest star. Part of their discussion was about intimacy, both in general and in their relationships. So in classic Jada fashion, she opened up about her intimacy issues with Will. Not only did she publicly have a long-term relationship with one of her son's friends, but she also had the nerve to blame their intimate issues on Will. She admitted she wanted him to read her mind to know what she liked, rather than communicating her feelings like an adult. She then claimed that she expects her partner to know what she likes, even if she never verbally shared how she felt, and finished off by saying she just somehow wasn't satisfied with him. Not only did she embarrass herself on her podcast, but she also embarrassed Will right along with her. At number 5, we have the clash with Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is known across the world for his music, his silly antics, his hefty interest in herbology, and for popping up in the most random places, like on a talk show with Kevin Hart, a cooking show with Martha Stewart, and a Bit commercial. Everyone knows who he is. So when Jada attempted to go toe-to-toe with him after Kobe Bryant's accident, it made everyone hide their eyes in secondhand embarrassment. After Bryant's passing, it came to light that he was in a court case for having lack of communication with a 19-year-old. This was before he married his wife, I might add. The case was dropped due to lack of evidence, and the accuser had nothing concrete. He then married his wife in 2001, so it had been almost 2 decades since the incident. Gayle King brought up the case during his wake, which was really disrespectful and uncalled for. It caused insane backlash from people and celebrities alike, and Snoop Dogg was one of them who made it very clear how he felt about the situation. Jada didn't like his response and invited him on her podcast in an attempt to clear things up. She claimed she felt hurt on behalf of all women because of the way he spoke to Gayle, and she felt like he had taken power away from her, her mother, and her daughter, which makes no sense. Gayle overstepped her boundary and Snoop called her on it. The situation had literally nothing to do with Jada. She just happened to see it and felt like she needed to be involved. At number 4, we have her mocking the party he threw. For Jada's 37th birthday, Will decided it would be a great idea to throw a massive surprise party. Now, it wasn't just their celebrity friends and some close family and what have you. He hired party planners to set it up and spent 3 days planning and getting everything ready. He even booked Mary J. Blige to perform for her. Talk about a birthday gift. But that's not all. He traced her family roots and invited her family members from her long line of lineage. Not only did he find her family, he went out of his way to reach out to them and invite them to the party. You'd think she would appreciate his labor of love, but instead she threw it back in his face, claiming he only did it to display his ego. And she hated the fact that he went out of his way to throw her the party. He admitted he was devastated when she said those hurtful things, and it even sent him on a downward spiral that negatively impacted his life. This should have been one of the biggest of many red flags. At number 3, we have her feelings for Tupac. For those of you who don't know, Jada was in a long-term relationship with Tupac years before she met Will, and his untimely passing was the end of their relationship. It's normal and even healthy to miss someone who passed, especially when you were romantically involved with them for a few years. But in 2012, while she and Will were still married, she posted a picture of her and Tupac in a very intimate embrace and captioned the photo, "I miss him." It makes sense wanting to share your deep feelings with the world. world, especially when they're affecting you most. But it was a questionable photo to choose to post, especially when you're married to someone else. Not to mention, Will and Jada's daughter Willow wrote a letter addressed to Tupac after he passed because Willow claimed she knew he was still alive. One of the lines in the letter read, "Can you please come back so mommy and me can be happy? I think mommy really misses you." It seems sweet and rather innocent, but at a young age, she was aware of how much he still had a hold on Jada, and she wanted him to come back into their lives, which at that point seemed like it could have been the end of Will and Jada's marriage. Nothing came of it, obviously, but it makes you question how much Willow really knew about the situation. At number 2, we have how she never really wanted to marry Will. When you get married to someone, it's supposed to be forever. That's the point of marriage, is to link two people's lives together for a lifelong commitment of love and trust. So it's less surprising what Jada did in their marriage when she admitted she never really wanted to get married. She and Will got married when they were very young, and it was actually Jada's mother who pressured her into the marriage because she really liked Will and saw the potential in him. However, that decision aged poorly because of her heinous actions that I covered in some of the points above. For Will's birthday, she posted a fairly old photo of them with their 2 kids and one of Jada's sons from one of her previous relationships. Many fans sent birthday wishes, but there were a few who made snarky remarks and rehashed lines from Red Table Talks, contradicting the post. Some people commented on how she didn't love him romantically, and a clip came up of her saying how she cried all the way down the aisle because she didn't want to be married to him, and how she felt pressure to be wed, even though she never wanted to be married in general. At least she's happy with him 28 years later, with multiple affairs and many humiliating moments for both of them. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the slap. Of course, the infamous slap made number 1. The situation went down at the 94th Academy Awards, and that same evening, Will actually won the Best Actor award for his performance in King Richard. But that wasn't the only performance that night. He and Jada were sitting relatively close to the front when Chris Rock was on the stage accepting an award and made a joke directed at Jada. He was referencing her bald head when he asked if she was going to be in G.I. Jane. Will laughed because Chris Rock is funny, and Jada wasn't having it. She rolled her eyes and looked at Will with a piercing gaze because she wanted him to do something about it. So he waltzed up on stage and gave Chris Rock a full swing slap to the face, then proceeded to yell at him, saying to keep Jada's name out of his mouth. Of course, the meme circulated and everyone heard about it. But Jada came out later saying that she'd been struggling with alopecia for years, and at this point, all she could do was laugh or not take it to heart. Neither of which she did when she ended up getting her and her husband blacklisted from the Academy Awards.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have The Affair. August Alsina and Jada Pinkett-Smith would shock the world and embarrass Will Smith in the process after August sat down for a bombshell interview, and in the interview he would reveal that he did in fact have an affair with Jada Pinkett-Smith in 2015 when he made an appearance on The Breakfast Club. In the interview, August would tell Angela Yee, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation of their marriage to life partnership. He gave me his blessing," keyword, gave me his blessing. While August went on to insist that he hadn't done anything wrong and that there was nothing for him to be ashamed of because he loved the Smiths, and he also would reveal that he completely gave himself to the relationship as he was really in love with Jada. But while the relationship might have occurred with honesty and communication, Will would be blindsided not only by the affair but everything August was saying about it in the process, and he would be humiliated by Jada. Number 9, her birthday. The day after Jada Pinkett-Smith's 37th birthday, Will Smith knew he wanted to do something so huge for his wife's 40th birthday party that he took 3 years to plan the big day so he could have everything right. While most girls would swoon over the gesture, as let's face it, we live in a sad reality where everybody has to buy themselves flowers because guys just won't do it for us, Jada would be less than pleased with her husband, and the embarrassment would be so bad it would cause Will to hit a low point in his marriage. With Will hiring an orchestra and a documentary team to trace his wife's roots, when the big day finally came, Jada would lose her cool and tell Will to cancel their plans for the next day, as Will would reveal, "She's like, it's my birthday. She told me that the party was the most ridiculous display of my ego." Crushed, right? To this day, I know I was crushed because it was true. It wasn't a party for her. And when she called me out on that, that's when I snapped. But I think we can all agree Jada definitely overreacted to make her husband feel bad for treating her like a queen. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Number 8. Bad parenting conversation. When it comes to Jada's and Will's parenting skills, Jada will stop at nothing to throw Will under the bus for just having a different opinion altogether, with Jada always being extremely open and vulnerable during her hit Facebook watch series Red Table Talk. When she brought her son Jaden and her daughter Willow and her mom on the show, during the conversation, Willow and Jaden would open up about being raised by Will and Jada. And they even went on to share some of their issues they had to deal with because they grew up in a famous family. After Willow opened up about how she found it difficult to connect with her parents as she felt like their values were the opposite of what she needed at the time, Jaden would also note that he went through similar problems. Jada would then switch the light from her to Will when she said their point of view and parenting skills were different because they were both raised differently, and she herself started to call Will out on his parenting skills instead of admitting her faults and promising that she would work on them. Number 7. Brought herself to the Red Table Talk. If the affair couldn't get any more embarrassing for Will, the aftermath would have him screaming in embarrassment after Jada admitted that there was some healing that needed to take place and tweeted that she would be the subject of her next Red Table Talk. She would then force Will to make an appearance on the episode where he would share his side of the story and how he found peace through all the pain. Although Jada confirms that she had an affair with August, Jada and Will would then confirm that they were temporarily separated when everything occurred, and how she reunited with Will as soon as August was out of the picture because she knew she just couldn't stay away from Will. With the clip soon becoming a viral sensation due to Jada repeating the word entanglement rather than affair, it became an online target for jokes, as it would show a picture of Will in tears before she forced Will to deny that he even cried in the first place. Number 6. Her feelings for Tupac. When it comes to Jada's relationship with Tupac, no one really knows what exactly went on with the two, and for the longest time, it caused Will to feel like he was being tortured by their relationship. Back in 2021, Will would sit down with Oprah Winfrey to discuss his new memoir ahead of its release, and in it he would admit to having a feeling that he has let down every woman he has ever been with. When the memoir was released, the world would then come to know pretty much everything about Will's and Jada's relationship and how he was raging in jealousy when it came to Jada's connection with Tupac. As in the beginning, Jada made him feel like he was nothing when it came to Pac, and it made Will feel embarrassed, and he was so triggered by Jada's feelings that it made him view himself as being a coward, as he hated that he wasn't Pac. Even when Jada ended up choosing Will over Tupac, she would still continue to judge Will and make him live up to her standards, as she went on to reveal that she would always be in love with Tupac and no one would ever change that. Even today she still shares poems that Tupac wrote to her, and you can just tell their relationship was bigger than just being friends like she's previously claimed. Number 5. Wishes they were swingers. For a while now, Jada Pinkett-Smith has been turning her relationship into one giant joke, to the point when we saw a clip resurface of her talking about the craziest things people thought about her and Will had all of our jaws dropping to the floor. Back in 2017, Jada made an appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. And while talking to Andy, a fan in the audience would ask the actor, what is the craziest rumor you've ever heard about your family, to which Jada obviously responded without missing a beat by saying that Will and I are swingers. That's the craziest one. It's constant. Then instead of just laughing off the situation, she then went on to tell the fan, and I'm like, yo, I wish, before repeating, I wish louder so she can add some emphasis to it. It's clear that Jada has never believed in a conventional marriage, and in the process to get the relationship she wanted, she has manipulated Will into agreeing to having an unconventional one so she could get with anyone she's ever wanted to get with. Number 4. Intimacy issues. Back in 2021, Jada would do everything but escaping the spotlight when she took to her Red Table Talk show to discuss her and Will's intimacy issues when she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on the show. When Gwyneth revealed that she was having the best intimate moments of her life when she was a newlywed, Jada made a stark comparison in light of her own relationship with Will. And she pretty much stated that since her and Will got together at a very young age, the accountability part of the relationship hit her the most because she just expected Will to know everything she needed, and if he loved her, like really loved her, he should have been able to read her mind. It got to the point Jada was so flustered she even had to tell Will, tell me what you need, Tell me what you want, and on top of it, I know that I have to be accountable to do the same. When Jada then went on to shade their intimacy level, it made us all realize that she never really loved Will, and she probably never will love Will, and it's more like she uses him now for his name as clickbait so she can draw in views to her show. Number 3, the prenup. If you thought the embarrassment of Will just started now, then you may want to think again, as this dates all the way back to the 90s. When they first started seeing each other. After an unearthed interview from 1997 started to circulate online, we all started to realize that there was a lot of red flags when it came to Jada's and Will's relationship. Starting for when she sat down with the Chicago Times for Jet magazine and she discussed her upcoming wedding with Will and said that he declined to sign a prenuptial agreement despite her insisting that she would sign anything. Jada then went on to tell the outlet, "Someone actually had the nerve to ask me if I'm signing a prenup agreement." The actress then found the overall question humorous before she went on to call her then husband to be very generous. Jada then went on to say, "I had to laugh because Will is a very generous guy and we love each other. Actually, I've told you, you can make up any prenuptial agreement you and your accountant want." But gloating about how you pretty much convinced your husband if you were to leave, you could pretty much take anything isn't exactly wife material. Am I right or am I wrong? Number 2. Forcing Will to be on IG Live. After the Chris Rock incident, a lot of people have gone on to reevaluate certain publicized moments of Will Smith's marriage. And there has been a lot of WTF moments. And one of these moments actually is a clip where Jada can be seen going live on Instagram sometime around 2019. And in the video, she begins by talking about her and Will's marriage counselor. And suddenly she turns the camera to Will to get his opinion. Things then got really awkward after she pointed the phone at him and asked him, "Well, you say that she has been instrumental in you, and I'm redefining our relationship." At the point, Will could then be seen looking incredibly uncomfortable with his wife to the point he calmly responded to her by saying, "I would say just don't start filming without asking me if you could." Jada then kept trying to record her video in order to get a response out of him to the point Will just had to turn away from the camera and plead with his wife to stop. This was no doubt a pretty embarrassing moment for Will, and it made us wonder why she just couldn't keep this conversation in a room with the couple's therapist. And coming in at number 1 today, we have the marriage. One thing about Jada's Red Table Talk Show is that she never misses an opportunity to embarrass her husband. Just after Will and Jada became the talk of the town due to Will's infamous Chris Rock slap at the Oscar ceremony in 2022, a video would resurface from Jada's show, and in it, the actor would admit that she really did not want to get married to Will Smith and that the couple had struggled a lot to get to where they are today. In an episode, Jada would recall how she cried walking down the aisle as she tied the knot with her husband, and that the wedding day only ever happened in the first place is because she got pregnant with the couple's first child, Jaden. Will also added that the couple only got married because Jada's mom forced them to tie the knot. Jada then revealed that she really did not want to get married, and she cried for a whole night after she realized that her life was going to change and not be the same after she became a mother. But I mean, how do you claim someone forced you to do something when you're a grown adult and you make your own decisions?
Number 10, Secret Son. While many know of the existence of Jaden and Willow Smith, did you know that Will Smith has a third son? Trey Smith was the product of Will's previous marriage to Cherie Zampino and tends to fly under the radar in the eyes of the media. In 2018, Jada brought Zampino onto her show and spilled the tea on the real story behind Trey, their relationship to each other, and Will's role as his biological father. For many Smith fans, this was the first time that we'd actually ever heard about Trey. Will claims that he had to distance himself from Trey and his mother following the divorce. Will recounts struggling to maintain a healthy enough relationship with Zampino for him to play the role of Trey's father. Trey was raised by his mom alone, growing up feeling betrayed and abandoned by Will. Eventually, Will made amends and became a proper part of Trey's life, but for a long time, Trey was kept hidden from the public, surely leaving a stain on the family unit that will never be washed away. Number 9, 7-year separation. Cheating rumors and dating scandals have followed this couple through their entire relationship. Since day one, people were convinced that they were in an open relationship, or maybe they were cheating on each other on and off basically the entire time. Well, it turns out that those rumors were kind of true. Ahead of the release of her new book, Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine to share some inside info. The most revealing was that herself and Will Smith had actually been separated for 7 years. Despite appearing to be a happy couple on the outside, the truth was they decided to go their separate ways, emotionally speaking, a long time ago. Since 2016, Jada and Will have been living in the same house and appearing on red carpets together, but behind the scenes they actually just don't do anything together. Considering the massive size of Will's house, it's easy to imagine Jada choosing her own little section and just decorating it to her liking. She continued to say that she felt pressured into being with Will because it was mainly his idea to get together in the first place, 2 kids and 1 marriage later, and it would appear that Jada finally came to her senses and decided to split. Number 8. Will's orientation. In 2012, Star Magazine published an expose on Will that somehow stuck around for years. The outlet alleged that Will and his wife were headed for divorce because of his growing bromance with fellow actor Dwayne Martin, which was speculated upon due to the multiple outings that the pair shared in a short span of time. Because people can't be buddies anymore. The rumor was only intensified when Jada expressed her dislike for their friendship, saying that she felt like Will flaunted it in her face. He takes Dwayne out all day and on exotic vacations, and while she just sits at home alone in her university-sized house. While it's never actually been confirmed, the fact that multiple sources accused Will of basically the same thing makes people believe that there may be some merit to the rumors, but who knows and who cares? Number 7. Will Smith almost ended his father's life. The Smiths are famous for getting into way too much detail when discussing their family history. Will Smith released a memoir called Will in 2021 that was chock full of juicy information that most certainly should have remained secret. One of the most shocking revelations in the book would have resulted in Will spending his life in prison had he followed through with his plans. The actor explained his father, Will Smith Sr., got physical towards himself and his mother constantly. As a young one, he vowed to seek revenge for his mother when he was older and capable of more. Eventually, his father was diagnosed with cancer and Will was forced to take care of him while he was bedridden. Will saw this as the perfect opportunity to take Papa down. He wrote, "One night, as I delicately wheeled him from his bedroom towards the bathroom, a darkness arose within me." Ugh. He then went on to describe the moment that he contemplated pushing this man down the stairs and noted that no one would have suspected him and the moment would have been perfect. He wrote, "I am one of the best actors in the world. My 911 call could have been Academy Award level." Will ultimately decided not to end his father's life, obviously, instead taking care of him until he passed away in 2016. Number 6. Interview evidence. When Jada revealed the truth about her separation from Will, she claimed that by the time they reached 2016 that they'd just become exhausted with trying to make things work. The news of their separation was like a mild shock to most people, as Super Sleuth fans claimed to have proof that Will and Jada were separated a long time ago, and the proof is in the interviews. The first clip to be submitted as evidence was Will and Jada's Red Table Talk interaction, in which she admitted to the entanglement with musician Alsina and simultaneously admitted to a brief separation between herself and Will. In the conversation, she literally says that herself and Will had basically broken up, but instead of just outright admitting the information right then and there, she decided to hold on to it for a better time. Many Jada fans have commented on the resurfaced clips, saying that Will looks drained, clearly dealing with a ton mentally. Jada is a calculated woman. Why reveal all the juicy gossip that she's got so early in her life when she could probably just wait and it'll help sell some books? She was probably ready to tell the world what happened as soon as it happened, but held onto the information as a way to give her a boost in the future if it was needed. Is it really a surprise that she's releasing all this information right when her book's coming out? Give them a scoop so they have to buy more and get the good stuff. Good move, but very manipulative, lady. Number 5. Gets busy to relax. While the Smiths have famously entangled with other celebrities throughout their marriage, Will once again shared just a bit too much information in his book Will, and at one point he made a not so shocking confession. When he was younger, Will was dating a woman named Melanie, who he discovered was cheating on him while he was away from work. Smith was deeply attached to his former girlfriend and to just women in general. In his book, Will writes that he always needed a woman to achieve for. Prior to Melanie, Will had only been with one other woman physically, but following the breakup, Will claims to have gone hyena mode over the next few months, making love to anyone who would consent. At first using this as a way to relax and feel better about the relationship, it eventually grew into a full-fledged addiction, to the point where Will claims to have suffered a psychosomatic reaction from the escapades, causing him to occasionally vomit the moment he reaches completion. Again, I didn't need that image in my head, I didn't need to know that, but since I have to suffer, now you have to as well. Number 4. That's what she said. As we all know by now, Will Smith doesn't like Chris Rock putting his wife's name in his mouth, okay? After the altercation that took place in 2022 at the Oscars, a ton of people were convinced that it was Jada who told Will to do it. Will was laughing moments before taking the stage and doing his thing. According to Jada, she actually had zero part in the altercation and thought that the entire thing was a skit right up until she saw Will walking back towards her. The fury in this man's eyes could not be faked. She revealed that she actually didn't mind the G.I. Jane joke all that much. I mean, sure, she didn't appreciate it, but according to her, she in no way told Will Smith to strike her Madagascar co-star. The first thing that she had actually apparently said to him when he sat down was just, "Are you okay?" He went up to accept his award for Best Actor and later apologized for his actions. Despite the apology, he was banned from attending the Oscars for 10 years, and so far, he has not spoken to Chris Rock face to face. Number 3. Weird science. Now, while I can't say what this belief system is actually called, it's usually spoken in reference to Hollywood madman Tom Cruise and involves L. Ron Hubbard, so that should be enough for you to piece it together. Jada Pinkett-Smith was briefly involved in the community and still partakes in some of its methods to this day. Jada and the rest of her family have often been linked to the controversial religion, though no members apart from Jada have ever actually admitted to being involved in any way, shape, or form. While Jada denies that she is a full-fledged member, the facts are she's been spotted attending several church events over the years. Former member Leah Remini backed up the claims of Jada's involvement, telling the Daily Beast that she herself interacted with Jada at an event taking place at the Science Celebrity Center. Essentially a giant room with famous nutcases, and Tom Cruise probably has an apartment in there. If you want proof that the Smiths are involved in the religion, the family literally founded a school that contained an exclusively science-based curriculum. That'd be like me opening a library containing just the Twilight books and being like, "Man, what are you talking about? I freaking hate Twilight. Why does everybody think I like Twilight so much?" Number 2, they actually suck. While rumors plagued Will and Jada from the moment that they were married, their careers never seemed to suffer at all. In fact, some would argue that Will was slowly taking over the Hollywood world, starring in movies like the Men in Black franchise, I Am Legend, and Bad Boys. It wasn't until he struck Chris Rock at the Oscars ceremony live in front of the world that the truth began to be revealed. Will exposed himself as an impulsive and aggressive man, hidden behind a big smile. When Chris insulted Jada Pinkett-Smith by joking about his excitement for G.I. Jane the movie, Will initially laughed, but of course he went on stage and we all know that he didn't find it funny. Will won Best Actor that night, but it would be the last good thing that ever happened to this man. The Academy banned him from attending any events in the next 10 years, he's been blacklisted in Hollywood, and Jada's talk show on Facebook was cancelled. So it turns out the most sane people in the Smith family are Will's kids, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. Number 1, Oscars confusion. Now that all this information is being leaked into the world by Jada herself, one major question was still lingering on everyone's minds. If she hasn't been with Will for 7 years, why did he feel like it was necessary to defend her and strike Chris Rock at the Oscars? Many fans have flooded social media with questions and concerns surrounding the incident. Now, if you don't remember, how? Chris Rock made fun of Jada for being bald, Will Smith went on stage and took him out for it, the end. Now, if Will Smith had been attending Chris Rock's stand-up special that came out earlier this year, who knows what would have happened? It was fantastic, you should really check it out. Despite Will claiming that playing the role of King Richard had left him in an odd mental state, it really was no excuse for his outburst, especially if he had not been romantically involved with Jada in years. The main point being made by some is that despite Will and Jada not being together romantically, that they remained close friends, and in that instance, Will was defending his very good friend, right? But that's still no excuse for causing Marty the Zebra pain. Man, I love Madagascar. You should check it out. Will has claimed that he tried to reach out to Chris following the Oscars, but that he was told Chris wasn't ready to talk. Either that, or he was ready but knew that he would just fly off the handle the moment that he heard Will Smith's voice.
Coming at number 10 today, we have the Oscars. The incident that occurred between Chris Rock and Will Smith has become known as the Slapgate that took place during the 94th Academy Awards on March 27, 2022. And it has become a moment that has gone down in history as a night full of mementos, wins, and controversy in equal measure. While the night was supposed to be filled with glamour and applause, the prestigious award ceremony was plunged into chaos when a Hollywood actor decided to take the stage and smack comedian Chris Rock following a joke Chris made about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett-Smith, and her balding head. Despite initially laughing at Rock's joke, Will Smith would then shock attendees and viewers alike when he walked onto the stage at the Oscars and displayed a baffling incident that even had Chris Rock say, "Wow." Will Smith just smacked the "Get out of me." To which Smith would then respond from his seat by shouting, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice at the comedian. Shortly after the incident came, Smith was then announced as the winner of the 2022 Best Actor Award for his lead role in King Richard. Upon receiving the award, which was his first ever Oscar win, Smith would apologize to the Academy and the fellow nominees for his reaction, but he did not apologize to Rock till later. Number 9. Jada Pinkett-Smith. It seems like Jada Pinkett-Smith just can't stop embarrassing her husband, Will Smith, and while the actress continues to do everything she can to ruin her husband's image, all of us are left to question what type of game she's playing, from her stating that she wished her and her husband were swingers, forcing Will to be on Instagram live videos, talking about her and Will's intimacy issues, mocking a party Will threw, and talking about her feelings for Tupac, letting the world know about her relationship with another man, and even bringing Will on the Red Table Talk podcast to address their relationship, and not to mention after the infamous Oscar incident, she even declared that her mom forced her to get married to Will and that she never wanted to do it. Seems like Jada just wants to humiliate Will, and it makes us question why she's doing it and why Will is still with her. While it seems all of Will's drama revolves around his wife, if he wants to get his foot back into Hollywood at some point, he really needs to make the tough decision and split from her, because his career is just in this downward spiral due to her odd actions. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Margot Robbie. In November 2013, Will was rumored to be hooking up with Margot Robbie on set of their film Focus, after photos were leaked of the pair joking around and fake flashing the camera in a photo booth. While the rumors were quickly put to rest after a source told E! News that Robbie and Smith were absolutely just friends, that's all. The picture that Will and Margot took were commissioned by the production, and the entire cast and crew saw them taken. While the rumors continued to circulate in the years to follow, Margot even seemed to hint at the rumors of her and Smith and set the record straight about her dating life when she revealed that she had sworn off dating fellow actors and preferred dating someone who wasn't known in Hollywood. But did she just swear off dating fellow actors because she had an affair and really wanted Will to be with her instead of Jada? However, it's pretty disappointing that goofing around on set can be taken so out of context to the point Hollywood tried to damage Will Smith's perfect guy image. Number 7. Resignation from the Academy. When Will Smith announced in a statement that he would be resigning from the Academy after his infamous incident with Chris Rock, this wouldn't make his troubles go away. While Will's resignation did come with an apology, it wouldn't stop the Academy's investigation of his conduct. While Rock would go on not to press charges against Will, he would start a lawsuit against Smith, the showrunners, and the security in control of the event for not ensuring the environment was safe. While many Oscar guests are still troubled by the standing ovation Will received after his tearful acceptance speech for his role in King Richard, the resignation could hurt his future in Hollywood. While it doesn't mean that he won't be able to be invited to future award ceremonies or that he can't be nominated for future awards, he will no longer be a voting member of the Academy, which could pose a problem in the future with the actor. Number 6. Will versus Aunt Viv. Do you remember Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and how she mysteriously vanished from the show at the end of season 3 in 1993? Well, in an interview with Atlanta radio station in 1993, Will Smith would publicly go after Janet Hubert and say, "I can't say straight up that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be Aunt Viv of Bel-Air, because I know she is going to dog me in the press. She's basically gone from $250,000 a year to nothing. She's mad now, but she's been mad all along." She said, "Once, I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets a show. No matter what to her, I'm just an antichrist." However, later Janet would then criticize the show and express her dislikes for Will in interviews as their public feud played out. She even swore that she would never appear in a reunion episode, and according to TMZ, she said, "As I will never have done anything with an a-hole like Will Smith. He's an egomaniac and he has not grown up. This consistent reunion thing will never happen in my lifetime unless there is an apology," which he doesn't know the word. Number 5. The the entanglement. When musician August Alsina brought the Smiths' relationship into the spotlight back in July of 2020, he revealed that he had been romantically involved with Jada Pinkett-Smith, and then August claimed that Will Smith knew about the relationship and even gave the two his blessing. The whole situation would just be really weird because at first Jada tried to deny August's claims and that they were even in a relationship, and then she did this whole 180 thing and eventually confessed to being in an entanglement with August, and then claimed that it was because of her and Will had separated that she decided to go separate ways for a period of time and figure out what she was doing, and she even told Will how to figure out how to make himself happy so she could figure out how to make herself happy. And while Jada originally decided she wasn't going to talk about the issue, she then forced Will onto her Red Table Talk show so they could discuss their marriage and relationship, and she would explain what she did and why she did it, and Will just had to sit there and accept what he was being told. And even during the show, Jada said she really felt like their marriage was over, and that's why she did what she did. Number 4, the Scientology issue. While neither Will Smith or Jada Pinkett-Smith have ever confirmed their religious affiliation with the Church of Scientology, the Smith family has long been rumored to be members of the controversial church. Back in May of 2011, the Men's Vogue magazine, Will would say, "I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism, and I've studied Scientology through Tom Cruise, and nobody is saying anything different." His comments would then go on to earn him a great deal of backlash, especially when he claimed that 98% of the Scientology principles were identical to the Bible. And in October 2018, however, the Bad Boy star would then declare during an appearance on his wife's Red Table Talk show alongside of Jada that his family has never been Scientologists, but there's just so much proof to prove otherwise. Number 3, Scientology School for Kids. In July of 2020, the Daily Beast would publish an interview with Leah Remini, the ex-Scientologist turned whistleblower who alleged that Jada was a devoted practitioner of Scientology. In the interview, she would say, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will Smith there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." She would then reveal that Jada and Will even opened up a Scientology school and have since closed it, but Lee also confirmed that she saw Jada at the center all the time. The Daily Beast would then speak to 4 former teachers and administrators at the New Village Leadership Academy who would insist that the Scientology not only bled into every aspect of the school, but that it was essentially a Scientology school filled with mostly Scientologist teachers that taught students Scientology methods of learning. And apparently the academy began as a homeschool in one of the Smiths' unused residence in Indian Hills, California. It was also said that Will and Jada gathered 20 to 30 kids, including their own kids Jaden and Willow, in their homes, and Will and Jada were also pictured speaking inside the school and at events. Number 2, boycotting fans. If you're one of those fans who doesn't feel quite ready to see Smith headline another movie, the actor says he respects your wishes. During the promotional lead up to the film Emancipation, which many expected to be an Oscar contender, however it was probably shut out because of Will's poor behavior at the last Oscars, Smith was asked about how he would respond to fans, and Will would go on to express nothing but respect to those who haven't yet forgiven him for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars by saying, "I completely understand if somebody is not ready. I would absolutely respect that and allow them their space to not be ready." Which honestly seems pretty fair for him to answer that, as we've all been getting a lot from this controversial star. While Will has expressed regret for what happened and concern for how his actions will impact his colleagues, it seems like the boycotting fans have taken a huge toll on his acting career, as he has now had films snubbed from the Academy Awards this year, and also many shows and movies have been cancelled over the last year, and he hasn't really been able to book any work as producers are scared that having him in a movie could result in negative impact, and no one really wants to deal with that situation as of right now. And it's pretty sad because Will Smith, in my opinion, is one of the best actors Hollywood has, and no one can play a lot of these roles better than he can. And coming in number 1 today, we have his open marriage. During an interview with GQ in September 2021, Will Smith would reveal that he and his wife haven't always been in a monogamous relationship relationship and that Jada never believed in a conventional marriage. He would then also say Jada had family members that had an unconventional relationship, so she grew up in a way that was different than how he grew up. And he used this to try to justify their open relationship, which is a very controversial topic in Hollywood still to this day. He would then later hint that both parties have taken advantage of the trust and freedom in the relationship when he would say, there were significant endless discussions about what is relational perfection. And a large part of the relationship monogamy was what we chose to not thinking monogamy as the only relational perfection. But does a healthy relationship mean you accommodate your wife's weird idea what a perfect relationship is?
At number 10, the slap. Regardless of how people saw him before, at the 2022 Oscars, we got to see a side of Smith that we normally don't, and it was not a good side for him to show off. By now, I think we all know exactly what happened at the award show last year. Host of the show Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett-Smith looking like G.I. Jane due to her being bald. After making the joke, most of the audience, including Will, laughed, but Jada rolled her eyes, kicking Smith's protective mode into gear. Next thing viewers know, Smith is up and storming the stage, slapping an unsuspecting Rock right in the face. Then Smith returned to his seat and yelled, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. Rock was visibly shaken by Smith's reaction, as was everyone watching, but he laughed it off and kept going. Of course, the actor's actions did not come without consequences. Smith is now banned from attending the Oscars for a decade, and he resigned from the Academy. Smith could still win an Oscar, but he won't be able to accept the award himself. Truly an unforgettable moment at the award show, and truly a bad look for the actor. Number 9. Sharing marriage problems. Will married Jada Pinkett-Smith back in 1997, and over the years their relationship seems to have been on public display. There have been plenty of rumors of both parties being unfaithful at one point in their marriage or another, but in 2020 they were forced to clear things up. In July, singer Alsina revealed in an interview on The Breakfast Club and alleged that he had a relationship with Jada a few years ago with Will Smith's blessing. He said, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. Due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they have spoken about several times and not involving romanticism, he gave me his blessing." The singer also admitted to giving himself to the relationship for years of his life, confessing to have really deeply loved her. Initially, Jada denied the claims that they had been together, as she would be admitting to cheating on her marriage. After denying it, they did a red table talk where they explained that they had actually separated. Jada referred to the relationship as an entanglement, and this episode is also when they revealed they were in an open relationship, clearing things up to hopefully prevent future rumors. At number 8, Margot Robbie rumors. In 2013, rumors began to go around that Will Smith had an affair with his Focus co-star Margot Robbie. At the time, neither Will nor his wife Jada had talked about being in an open relationship, so as soon as people had a hunch that the co-stars were getting flirty, the rumor mill was working overtime. They started after the two posed for a photograph, lifting up their shirts pretending to flash the camera. The photos appeared to be goofy and flirty, and people were suspicious. Robbie also made a comment about the actor's breath, aka when they had to kiss, saying he's got really lovely breath spray, also leading fans to thinking she was being flirty. Of course, Robbie and Smith denied the rumors, but people weren't convinced, especially seeing how it seemingly took a toll on Jada and their marriage. Apparently at the time, Jada was insecure about their flirty relationship, and this is what kick-started trouble in their relationship. Later, during a red table talk, Jada seemingly confirmed people's theories when she revealed that she harbored a racial bias towards white women with blonde hair. She said, "I have to admit I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women just triggers me." She claimed it was due to being bullied by girls like that in school, but people prefer to believe that she was talking about Robbie. At number 7, no punishment. The Smiths have always had a non-traditional parenting style which has raised eyebrows over the years, but in 2013 they faced some backlash. Smith revealed that he and Jada didn't believe in punishing their children, Willow and Jaden. Speaking with Metro UK, he said, "We don't do punishment. The way that we deal with our kids is they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible, and the concept of punishment, our experience has been, it has a little too much of a negative quality." Smith also said that they treat their children like equals, saying, "We respect our children the way we would respect any other person." Things like cleaning up their room. You would never tell a full-grown adult to clean their room, so we don't tell our kids to clean their rooms. Others might see their respect for their children as being a little too lenient and maybe lacking in teaching the children discipline, including Jada's mother, Adrian. During a Red Table Talk in 2018, she admitted that she thinks Jada and Will give their children too much freedom, telling her grandchildren that they had too much say in their own lives. At number 6, After Earth. One of the actor's self-admitted biggest mistakes for his career was doing the movie After Earth with his son, Jaden. People were excited for the movie to come out in 2013, as this would have been the first time that we would be seeing the father-son duo share the screen since The Pursuit of Happiness. Unfortunately, it did not end up being received quite the same. In his memoir Will, he wrote, After Earth was an abysmal box office and critical failure, and what's worse is that Jaden took the hit. Apparently the press was vicious towards Jaden, and Smith wrote, I'd coached him into the worst public mauling he'd ever experienced. So not only was the movie a big failure, it also led people to think the reason for that was none other than Jaden himself. Smith also talked about how he could tell his son felt betrayed and lost his trust in leadership. At 15, Jaden even brought up becoming an emancipated minor, which Smith says, when Jaden asked about being an emancipated minor, my heart shattered. He ultimately decided against it, but it sucked to feel like you've hurt your kids. The movie ended up receiving an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, and critics tore the movie to shreds, making it one of the worst reviewed Will Smith movies to date. At number 5, Aunt Viv drama. Will Smith previously had a bit of a feud with his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air co-star Janet Hubert, who played Aunt Viv originally on the show. At the end of season 3, her character was taken over by Daphne Maxwell Reid. Following her departure, Smith gave the reason that she was difficult to work with, but there was more to the story. Truth is that Hubert had been pregnant and experiencing trouble at home, while also dealing with a young Smith who, according to her, had an issue with her not kissing up to him. To top it off, Hubert claimed that her salary was cut, forcing her to leave. When she did, Smith said in an interview, I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show. She's basically gone from $250,000 a year to nothing. When asked about a reunion, Hubert said, the reunion thing will never happen in my lifetime unless there is an apology, which he doesn't know the word. Eventually though, they did sit down with her explaining, I lost everything. Reputation is everything. Calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. In the end, Smith was apologetic, but being young with money and fame like he had ended up being a dangerous combination. At number 4, Scientology rumors. Both Will and Jada Smith are believed to be connected to Scientology. In 2011, Smith told Men's Vogue, I've studied Buddhism and Hinduism, and I've studied Scientology through Tom Cruise, and nobody's saying anything different. These comments earned him a good deal of backlash, especially after he claimed that 98% of the principles are identical to the principles of the Bible. In late 2018, he said that they have never been Scientologists during a Red Table Talk, but that they have also been tied to a school which was a front for teaching Scientology. The New Village Leadership Academy started as a homeschooling operation in one of the Smiths' vacant mansions in 2007. Between 20 and 30 children were educated inside Will and Jada's home before they opened a school on the nearby campus of Indian Hills High School. In an interview with The Sun, Associate Dean and Engineering Professor from California State, Dr. Jawad, who was also a guest robotics lecturer at NVLA for 2 years, claimed that the teachers at Smith School were put under pressure to include Scientology education models in their classroom. Jawad also claimed that many of the full-time staff were openly members of the church. He said Will and Jada may have denied it, but there was definitely a drastic tilt towards Scientology in that school. At number 3, lost it on a reporter. Back in 2012, Smith made headlines for slapping Ukrainian reporter Vitaly Sedgwick in the face. Smith was at the Men in Black 3 premiere in Moscow. In the video clip of the altercation, you can see Smith standing and answering questions to a crowd of reporters and cameras. When the actor's time is up with Sedgwick, he goes in for a hug, which Will enthusiastically accepts. Then the reporter, who is also known to be a prankster, did something that honestly has a good chance of getting you slapped most of the time. Sedgwick kissed Smith's cheek, then he went for another, and if Smith hadn't turned his head, I think he would have landed the second kiss on Smith's lips. Now, of course, kissing someone without their consent is not okay, but Smith decided to hit him. Initially, Smith pushed the reporter off of him, followed by asking him, what the hell is your problem, buddy? This is the point where it would make sense for the actor to just walk away and have someone remove the touchy reporter, but instead, Smith steps back to Sedgwick and slaps him on the cheek with the back of his hand. The reporter was definitely not right for what he did, but Smith also showed that in response to a problem, he's not afraid to lay his hands on someone. At number 2, leaving the Academy. When it comes to who wins at the Academy Awards, all the decisions are left up to the Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences. The Academy's corporate management and general policies are overseen by a board of governors, which includes representatives from each of the craft branches. To become a member, it's not just a simple application, there are lots of requirements and rules before you can be considered. Of course, with his long career, Smith had finally finally made his way to be able to be a part of the Academy and had the power to vote for Oscar winners. Unfortunately, he threw the honor away last year after slapping Chris Rock in the face live on stage at the actual award show. Not the best look for anyone, but especially a respected Academy member. Of course, following the event, he received a hefty ban on attending the show, but along with that, he resigned as a member. He said, "I betrayed the trust of the Academy, so I'm resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and will accept any further consequences that the board deems appropriate." Losing his invite to the event and his voting privileges in one night was not good to his career. And at number 1, trouble with the law. The actor was arrested back in 1989 over an alleged vicious attack that took place in Philadelphia. According to the report, Smith, who was 20 at the time, was arguing with a man, which became physical, resulting in the man almost losing his sight in one eye. The man was record promoter William Hendrix, and it went down days before Smith received his first Grammy. When all was said and done, Hendrix was left needing 6 stitches after fracturing his left eye orbit in the fight. At the time, sources told the National Enquirer that Will had to spend the night in the cell at the West Philadelphia police station, with other inmates waking him up all night to ask for an autograph. I know a lot of people are young and dumb and make mistakes, but it's clear that Smith has been turning to violence as the solution for his anger for a long time. The slap may have been the first time he hit another person live on TV, but it's definitely not the first time he got in trouble for hitting a person. At the time of his arrest, he faced charges for aggravated attack, criminal conspiracy, and recklessly endangering another person. In the end, the charges were later dismissed, but charged or not, he still used violence as a solution.